townships. I know these youngsters, they think that WhatsApp and chats are the best things. Guys, there's digital tools that are there, which we need to be abreast with. So, but without further ado, I said I'm running. Let's talk about the state of digital transformation in South Africa, building an inclusive and connected future-ready nation. Ladies and gentlemen, to present that is Mr. Sholuku, who is the DDG responsible for digital society and economy at the DCDT. Please give him a hand.
Thank you, Program Director. In the interest of not skipping, the other, people, I think in terms of the protocol, let me lean on the one that has already been observed. I think it's much safer that way because I might miss other people. Colleagues, my name is Mlindi Masholoku. I'm from DCDT. Which is Department of Communication and Digital Technologies. So I'll just share just a bit of where we are. I could have prepared a presentation, but I only got this memo just now that it would have been nice if it was a presentation. So I'll convert that into the talking points that I prepared for this. But I think, colleagues, I'm hoping that there are young people that are in here. We're coming from far from this journey, colleagues. Some of us who are much older. Oh, am I that old? When we started with internet, we started internet when we will have what was called a dial-up modems. So some of you would not know that you had to dial a number to reach ISP. And the connecting speed at that time was 64 kilobits per second if you're lucky. Otherwise, you can go to around 16 kilobits per second and all that. So now you can imagine that even now, if you've got like a 10 meg line, you find that it's threatening you, it's not really, assisting you. But colleagues, I think I just need to say that, on this dialogue today, I think it's going to be important that, we discuss some of these critical areas that are going to shape our future together. And also, I think I need to mention that as a department and as a country, our aspiration has been to be what we call a digital society. And the definition of a digital society is a society that uses ICT for everything, be it, education, be it recreation. So we aspire to get to that particular level. But colleagues, for us to get there, there are a lot of foundations that we need to have. And I think there's some work that has been done. So in terms of, the mobile penetration, we see that, on the latest reports, they will say that we've got 90% mobile penetration, which is mostly about population coverage. That's where then you'll find that there are still some gaps. And the area where I come from in the Eastern Cape, I still sometimes have to drive, to the hill there if I have to take a meeting, with the minister or something. So now you'll understand that, geographically there's still quite a lot that still needs to be done in terms of connectivity as a fundamental. And I mean, the important thing is that, because if you understand then the connectivity, if you've got everybody is connected, then at least you'll understand that, at least you can start participating in the digital economy. So it's some of the areas that we still need to advance as well. But also, if you go to some of these rural areas, you'll find that, the devices are still the major hindrance. Because you'll find there that, the devices that are there, they will be, those devices that you call the feature phones, the 2G phones. So we still have got the work that we need to do there because we need to drop, the prices of, the devices to much lower, especially the 4G devices, at least to much lower than they are now. So I think it's some of the areas that we still need to focus on. But also, I think we are putting some interventions on our side. So there is an intervention that we're working with World Bank now to see and understand the dynamics of what can be done to actually drop, the charges of our smartphones. I know that they are not going to drop the iPhone from 30,000. That's only like to lose colleagues. So, they won't drop the iPhone, but at least we need to have those devices being on the hands of the people. Also, there is some interventions that we are doing as a department, like we do have, the broadband infrastructure rollout, which is called SA Connect, which is assisting us in terms of, reaching those areas in the rural areas. So that project has been running now for the past couple of years, and we are still trying to roll it even further. But also, I think the importantly on that project is that we are trying to also bring the connectivity to the schools, as well as, all these, the communities, and then, these public facilities that are out there. So if you can have a connectivity, at least on the school, then you'll find that at least the kids can actually have access to the internet, easier, than it is now. But also from the policy point of view, of colleagues, we have got some policies that we're pushing. Mr. Ramitra, I see he's here. So there is a National Digital and Future Skills Strategy, because what we understand as well is that as we start adopting these technologies, you need to have the nation that is capable of using these technologies. So then it becomes important that, people are digital literate. And also now, whenever you do that, now it opens you to the other area as well of cybersecurity. So that's where then we also play a space also in cybersecurity, because you'll find that now the more you interact online, you're actually more prone to cyber attacks and all that. And you have seen that, people, they do everything now to get into your devices, to get into, as the program director was saying here, that, sometimes you'll find that someone has actually hacked into your phone, and they are lending money from other people and asking people for money and all that. And those are the dangers that we find ourselves in, colleagues. So that's why then cybersecurity then is becoming, one of the critical areas that we need to focus on. But also, the areas of cloud computing, you know that we are moving away from the on-prem, environment, and we are trying to move our workloads into the cloud. So as a department, we then issued a national cloud and data policy, so which then aims to say that, what should be done, in terms of, cloud computing, what methods that needs to be there to protect ourselves, especially when you are using cloud. But also on that as well, as government, we have just decided to build our own cloud ecosystem, which is hosted by SITA, which is State Information Technology Agency. Because we saw that, you'll understand the concept of the geopolitics, that, the geopolitics now, you can't take all the government data and put them on the public clouds, especially the public clouds that are hosted by, the other nations. Otherwise, you're putting the whole sovereignty of the country, at a risk. So that is why then we decided that we need to have our own cloud environment, which is hosted by government, which will make sure that we host all the government, databases, the critical ones. And colleagues, I see Dr. M is here. We had a commission a couple of years ago of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which came with significant recommendations. And we are trying to implement, some of, those recommendations that came from that commission. And colleagues, I just want to also highlight that, there are some issues that we still need to really work ahead, because if we are to look on the digital divide that we're facing, it is social, economic, and generational. So now what we see is that, digital transformation cannot be measured, by one who is connected, but we have to look on who benefits and who participates and who is empowered. So I think then the discussions today will actually dig deeper into those aspects as well. So what we're trying to do, colleagues, is to really build an inclusive, connected, and future-ready nation. So we are working, as a department, with various sectors. We're trying to have a coordinated approach, to make sure that everybody, we work together with everybody, with us. And I think, colleagues, I need to expand, on some of these things. There is an initiative that we just started now, which is called the Digital Transformation Roadmap, which looks holistically on, the digital government, as a whole. some of you might not know, and I know that we have not done good advocacy. We do have a portal called eservices.gov.za that you will have, we do have over 130 government services to the citizens that are in there. And why we try to do that was to make sure that when you want to apply for any service, you don't say now, okay, I want a service in education. I have to think now, what is the website of education? So we're trying to consolidate all these services so that as a citizen, you've got one entry point to government and you can apply for any service through that entry point. So the eservices.gov.za is live and it can be used. And we see that, when we draw our stats, we see that we've got, a hit rate over 1 million people that access that portal in a month. But I mean, in a population of over 60 million, so if now the only hit rate is about 1 million, you can see that we're still far. We are not utilizing that platform well. And now this digital transformation, it also looks on broader aspects of that to say that now let's look on some of the fundamentals that we need to be there. So there is an area called now the DPI, which is the digital public infrastructure that we are trying to enable. So the DPI has got 3 components, colleagues. It's got what we call a digital ID. While our ID now has got some parameters of a digital ID, so the digital ID will also enhance, what our physical IDs are currently doing. Because what we need to do is to make sure that whenever you transact, all your parameters, they can be that facilitate all the various payments that happen in government, with our own payment government that we host in government. But also the digital wallet is going to assist, so that, when you start digitalizing your traffic officers, you have not carried your wallet, at least you can produce, your digital wallet, that you can verify all your aspects and say that, do you have a driver's license? Yes, I do. Then we empower, the authorities to have a way of scanning, that QR code in there. They can verify you. They can see your picture and everything, in that. So that is what we're trying to do, colleagues, now going forward. But also, I think the important thing as well that I would like, this dialogue to think as well. We're trying to see, if we can declare the broadband as a public good. And I think it's a discussion that we need to have because, if we can declare that the broadband should be a public good, you understand that, people really need, all broadband to enable to participate in the digital society. And also, I saw, those of you who have done the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I saw the modified one where they put at the bottom, they say Wi-Fi, So that's why now you can see that people, they see that, that the connectivity is becoming, an enabler, of some of the things that we want to do. AI, but also making sure that we put relevant guardrails, around to be mindful of when it comes to. In closing, there's sometimes that we see even in government is that when we plan, we sometimes plan for now. That might happen. And the future studies actually teaches you to say that let's look horizon of at least a minimum of 10 years, 20 years, so that you know that whenever you put something now, it will be future fit, for all the aspects of, any eventualities that will come in the next couple of years as well. So we need to make sure, colleagues, as we are imagining this South Africa, that, every learner does have, access forms. Those are things that we need to do. So we need to make sure that, citizens engage with government seamlessly. So that is why, the digital government is trying to do that. But also we need to make sure, the communities are digitally resilient, connected, and economically empowered. So what I would like us to do, private sector to invest, create inclusive solutions, but also the youth. You should not be the beneficiaries of, this digital future. They should be the builders of it. So it's one of the things that we need to make sure, colleagues.
Thank you very much to the DDG. Definitely good plans, but also the young people. MSMEs are literally the backbone of our economy. And whenever government speaks digital transformation, we become the last particular digital tool that is out there, because they are the ones that accelerate the economy. Because they are the ones that accelerate the economy. So I think DDG, having you here is great, because we can then start discussions with you with GoDigital National Dialogue, CyberMate, the SME CEOs group, to see how we could drive and accelerate. I know that the DDG has to leave. Unfortunately, you can't ask me. I know that the DDG has to leave. Unfortunately, you can't ask me questions. But now we get to the meaty part of the session. I like this at the Y20, the coach up.
Looking after AI, digitally, people will then ask you for mobile data. So I'll refrain with an esteemed panelist, and mine is really to extract some wisdom. And I really want us to move away close to my age. I've been, looking around. I see everybody has a cell phone, and I am having good thought here that everybody's also an entrepreneur. So I really want it to be very tangible, that when you go out of here, you go out with something that you can take and implement in real life. So without any further ado, let me welcome my esteemed panelist. If I can welcome Dr. Makaziwe Magamba, if you can just... And I'd also like to invite Mr. Tebogo Mokhoka as well on stage. A round of applause. Thank you. Feels a little bit like they're in the principal's office, so... all right.
Mr. Pena, just a quick one. Can I ask the panelists to please keep their mics on?
As mentioned, mine is an easy task to moderate the panel discussion. I was stalking them on LinkedIn, they're very well established, but let me allow them to briefly do introductions, and then I will get into anchoring the conversation with a bit of data points, and then we can get into questions. But I want to allow a lot of time for you guys in the room to also ask questions. So by virtue of you sitting next to me, Tebogo, I'm going to ask you first to do your introductions, and then we can get into Dr. Makaziwe, and then we can get into the conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Tebogo Mokhoka. I'm the business unit head of sales at Makwa IT, and I'm also an alum of TUT. So thank you for being here today. I'm a beneficiary of the city, so hence why I came back. Absolutely, you need to give back. I have over 15 years of experience in the ICT industry. I've sold everything from the mice to the network, to the data center, to the resources, to the satellites in the sky. A very vast knowledge in terms of how IT has a socio-economic impact within the community. As I believe, in terms of how we interact with IT and the community, we should always go back and ensure that whatever we do, whatever we implement within our communities has to have the socio-economic impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Makaziwe.
Thank you so much, Program Director, and good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Dr. Makaziwe Makamba. I am a computer scientist who is also working as well as a digital transformation consultant and the founder and managing director of Rise Science Initiative. Been having quite a lot of experience from private sector, public sector, and also from academia as well, so blended of those. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, the conversation is really centered around driving inclusive digital transformation and building pathways for all South Africans. And I want to underscore the building pathways for all South Africans. And I really want to anchor the conversation in some data points, right? So just doing a bit of the academic in me came out, and I started doing a bit of research because I want us to really anchor it in the reality of our country. So when we look at the stats, right? And I call it the great paradox, and you'll see why. We have around 78% of South Africans that have access to the internet. Mobile penetration exceeds 170%, right? It's what Mr. Msholongwe was sort of speaking to. When you look at sort of what this means as well, we're looking at numbers growing at about 5.4%. So between 2024 and 2025, we were looking at about 2.6 million people that sort of migrated to being internet users. So what does this mean? So there's a digital economy contributes also roughly to about 80% to the GDP, with the potential to reach 12% by 2030, according to the Presidential Commission on the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Yet beneath this progress lies the persistent paradox, the digital divide that mirrors and in some cases amplifies our historical inequalities. So what does that mean based on data? So approximately 8 million South Africans remain offline, and primarily, and we know the story, are in rural and under-resourced areas. When you even go further down and look at the data again, they tell a story. Only 1 in 5 rural homes have access to the internet at home, compared to over 60% in urban areas. This is not simply a matter of connectivity, right? It is a matter of capability and inclusivity. So the World Bank, again, estimates that for every 10% increase in broadband penetration, a developing economy can see up to 1.5 rise in GDP growth. Huge untapped potential that we're missing out on. Yet access alone does not guarantee inclusion. So what are our problems? Skills, affordability, and affordability is a challenging one for me in particular working in telco. Digital literacy also remaining a critical barrier as well. So consider this. The South African median age is sitting at about 28 years of age. This is all of you sitting in the room, or the majority of you sitting here in the room. And that means more than half of our population is under 30. A demographic rather that is both our greatest risk and our greatest resource. And why is this? When you look at unemployment rates, we're looking at about 44% or 68% depending on the definition that you use. I think 68% are those that have given up, sort of their job search, and around 44 that are actively sort of trying to find employment. Again, this requires and demands of us being very intentional in designing policy, partnering, and also drilling it down to practice. So I'm going to just anchor it there, because the tough job, my panelists here, is in how do we make sense of all of this? And I really want to, what I've done is sort of thematically, tried to thematically land the sort of panel anchoring in a couple of phases. The current digital landscape, I want us to unpack that, and the skills development and workforce transformation, the digital inclusion, innovation, and access. And I want us then to talk about opportunities and be a bit future-looking. So when we go out of here, we sort of have a little bit of a roadmap, a cheat code that you would all have had because you were here today. So maybe to start with the first question, and I'm going to pose it to the rose among the thorns here, Dr. Makaziwe, right? Is how would you assess the current state of digital transformation in South Africa? Are we seeing inclusive participation across industries, regions, and demographics? And I know you do quite a lot of work. What has been your state and analysis in your observations?
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Chairperson, you're quite right on the points. I hope I'm not that loud. On the points that you are actually putting in there. It's we're looking at the digital divide. It's quite a lot. And we cannot work as a country where other people are left behind. That is why it's critically imperative that we go to the rural communities or underserved areas, not only to connect them, but also to do digital literacy, to offer equitable access to affordable connectivity. And not only that, but we need to teach them about digital literacy. Because to have an internet, but then you are not literate enough to understand what is a digital literacy, how do you use those? So it's quite imperative that as SA Connect, it does go to the areas, we need also to embed that with part of digital literacy so that everyone can understand what is that. When you look at the overall country in terms of digital transformation, it's quite imperative. It's good. You are seeing the intake of of that. A lot of areas, quite different provinces, they are excited about digital transformation because it is a quiet enabler for socio-economic development. Nowadays, you look at the access, you look at the infrastructure, but also you look at the way they understand about cybersecurity, data governance, but also the financial inclusion. I know from government perspective, we always say people have to be self-sustained. They have to develop their own applications, which is quite great to create an employment because that's a part of digital transformation. It enables you to develop that. But then we have to embed with the digital transformation together with the financial inclusion because you cannot be a CEO of a certain organization if you don't have a financial literacy and understand the financial model and also investment model and commercial model itself. So those, they have to be intertwined. But looking at the universities themselves, last week I was in a couple of the universities, they are actually anchoring this digital transformation and actually checking how do you manage the supply and the demand. Remember that there's a supply and then there's that processing, which is the university, and also demand, private sector and also public sector. So now we need to align what is it that the youth is studying, what is it that we're getting from actually basic education together with high school, but also from the university perspective, what kind of student are we producing? How are we eliminating this youth unemployment that is quite high? So that is why previously at NSG, not at NSG, at DCDT, we had actually a program where we were actually interacting with the CEOs of the JSE listed companies to say, how are you actually tapping into the space? What kind of skills do you need so that we can all align to that? So, but in a nutshell, it's quite good uptake. We are seeing that there's a difference that is taking place, but even though that is getting there slowly bit, but at least there's a good one. Thank you, Joe.
You make a very good point, Doctor. And there's a stat I read a couple of years ago. It's an old one, and it was referencing, it was a continental stat that sort of spoke to the fact that an average African consumer spends 7 days out of the 30 days in the internet. But what I'm hearing from you is that in South Africa in particular, we at an advantage if you compare ourselves with other African countries. So I'd like to maybe extend the same question to you, Mr. Tebogo, right? And really again, to just sort of speak over it again is, how would you assess the current state of digital transformation in South Africa? And are we seeing inclusive participation across industries, region and demographics? And I think Dr. Makaziwe was touching a lot on government initiatives, and I know you, as a sales executive as well, seeing it in practice. If you can just also shed a bit of light there.
So how the environment I'm seeing it today is there's still a big gap between the unenabled and the enabled. It's in terms of how do we bridge that gap. And from a practical point of view, what I believe is that every single install, every single transformation that happens within our communities should be witnessed by our communities so they can enable that level of participation from a very young age. Just, I once saw a solution where we actually implemented a network, because we understand from a digital transformation point of view, the network is the backbone for digital transformation. While we're implementing this within our community, we actually invited our community just to witness how the cable is laid down, what it will do for them. We explained that to them. So just that level of engagement at a community level actually inspired a couple of people, community members. First of all, they protect their digital infrastructure. And also, it encourages them to further participate and to further understand what level of impact that could have for them and how they can actually participate in the digital economy. So from that point of view, there is a gap thereof, but the initiatives that are currently underway do require a large investment, yes, from government and from private sector alike, in order to make sure that they become a realization thereof. So that's what we are doing from a digital transformation point of view, and how we see the industries moving forward.
No, thank you for that, Mr. Tebogo. And what I'm hearing is we need to be deliberate around how we partner between government and private sector, and by extension, even academia, right? And perhaps maybe this then sort of a precursor to my next question. Tebogo, you and I were having a conversation in the speaker room, so you have a bit of a cheat code here. So I'm going to pose this one first to you, which is around how can government, right? Like, so how practically can we go about it? How can government, private sector, academia collaborate to upskill, reskill the workforce, especially in underserved communities. We were having a conversation, and one of the things was that we have a huge unemployment rate. We know it's challenge number one, if you ask me, of our country. It's a ticking time bomb, right? And we know, for example, that we have a lot of initiatives, yes, for youth. We were having a conversation around it, Girl Code, that are looking at how do they empower young girls as an example. But perhaps maybe indulge us a little bit in what have you seen and observed around how we can sort of be intentional around these partnerships as well.
So the intentionality around these partnerships is very imperative in terms of how to actually execute, to get practical around it. Like I touched on it earlier, invite the community when you have these projects. Don't do these projects in isolation. Actually invite them, let them witness it. That is the first way. The second way, we have to ensure that our kids in school, especially within our kids in school, have to be able to participate and actually be taught around digital transformation from a young age. There is no industry today that is not touched by digital transformation. It is the future. So having those programs early on creates the skilled labor force that will have an impact into the future. Actually adopting and accepting these technologies, especially when you're having a conversation around AI, around ChatGPT, don't be averse to it. Utilize it, but then teach the human interface that is required thereafter in terms of be able to grab the information from ChatGPT, but then become a critical thinker in terms of actually reviewing it, applying your own experience, and then actually being able to deliver on that. So that part in terms of how you ingest AI, how you execute on that, and then be able to actually deliver on that is one of those practical measures that we should be able to teach at a very young age. Because, as I mentioned, there is no industry that is not influenced by digital transformation.
Thank you so much. Just by a show of hands here, how many people here in the room have engaged with ChatGPT? Okay.
Copy paste.
Okay, that puts me at ease, right? We don't have a problem of adoption here, which is great. So maybe the same question to you, my good doctor, right? Is how can government, private sector, and academia collaborate to upskill, reskill the workforce, especially in underserved communities? Perhaps maybe a couple of case studies that you might have observed or even heard about. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chair. Actually, Chairperson, there is actually a lot that government is doing with that. I'm happy to see Trevor here from NEMISA perspective. We've been doing quite a lot of collaboration with that to try to ensure that we do awareness first. Because now when you talk about digital transformation, talk about the AI, talk about the 4IR, and then people are like, okay, are they different? What is happening around that? So to teach people, and I know that mostly as computer scientists or ICT people, we think that everyone should be normal. It's a norm. You need to understand that. But in actual context, you need to teach people, make them aware of what is digital transformation, what is AI, what is IoT, why is it cybersecurity important across. So awareness is the first one. And secondly, the multifaceted approach is quite imperative because we need government, we need private sector, and also academia to come together. You will note from the government, from private sector perspective, we have those CSI programs, but now we are not reaching a broader society because we do this separately and isolatedly. And you'll
on a daily basis, the acronyms they use, but I failed and I failed forward. I was not afraid. I did not ask for permission. I went in full force. I executed. What's the saying that they say that fake it till you make it? I did not do that. I executed until I made it. So we have to be very clear around
Love that. Thank you so much, Mr. Dubura. I love that. And I mean, what a life lesson, guys, right? I think with, the advent of technology and everything that's happening with AI, literally every second week, there's a new development within AI. There's a new technology, a breakthrough, if you sort of follow some of the developments happening around Silicon Valley and also in China. Maybe a life lesson for us to say, we need to be adaptable and upskill. You can never get to a point where you think you have reached it. You continuously need to be learning. And perhaps maybe it's a good segue into my next question, because I want to maybe have a little bit of an SMME lens or also focusing a little bit on how startups can be empowered to leverage digital tools to grow and compete in the global economy. Tebogo did an exercise, a true teacher, literally with a diagram, convincing us, selling us the idea that we need to be, AI adopters in the speaker's room. But I want to practicalize it, particularly for, young entrepreneurs here in the room, right? What can they leverage from a digital tools perspective to grow and compete in the digital economy? Is there any tools that you know of that you think they can start looking into to efficientize their business, as an example, or maybe make their business practices, expand their marketplace, as an example? There are many ways of going about it and slicing this cake, but maybe if you can indulge us a bit here.
Thank you so much, Chair. I think there's quite a lot that we can do to enable our startup to make sure that they reach the global competitive. Now, we need to understand the level of exposure first. What kind of exposure are we exposing them to? What kind of updating them about what is currently happening, but also in terms of funding, because you'll notice that most of those, especially from the IT industry, and also even those that are not, they didn't do as like you, Pena, they didn't do the IT, but then are saying, listen, I can do this, which is quite good. But then the only challenge with our startups is when it comes to the revenue sharing, is when it comes to funding. That's where they're struggling the most. That is why, from government perspective, we need to change that narrative. We need to find a way where we say, we cannot just only have 20,000 to say we're supporting you. What can you do with 20,000, honestly? But we need to have a model that we have to be intentional about making sure that they reach the global stage. Because now technology like AI, you can be able to reach a broader market. But then now, how do you change that? Because AI, you can develop a model within less than 10 minutes, and then you develop your business. But then how do you market it? It will market for you. But the problem is at the baseline. A lot of people are leaving private sector, even government, to say, no, I want to start my own thing. Yes, you can be good and talk and stuff, but then funding will be the challenge. So now we need to ensure that we upskill our people, but also not only tech-wise, but also financial-wise, to say, how do you negotiate? How do you share your revenue? So we need government, a lot of government, to come and actually update our setup and ensure that private sector as well, they come into speed, because the challenge is not only on developing. The challenge is on the financial model. So we need those Triple P to come together to say, how do we change that? How do we ensure that even continentally? One of the things, a chairperson, that I've noticed, that we are not really collaborating continentally. We talk, we go to this event, we take pictures and so forth, which is, I think, that is very outdated. But then without the impact, it's a futile exercise for me. We need to check what is the impact of that. We have conferences that go every year, and I even know that I will see Trevor, I will see Masholugu, I will see so-and-so, we know. But then you check, what is it that we are producing out of that? And also, I think it's quite imperative, after a session or after a conference, we need to know that this will be the impact. We need to have a timeline. And then know that at least the commitment from the private sector, from the government, to say so and so, and then we have to track what is it that they've done. You'll be very shocked, Chair, to notice that in Kenya, so many challenges that we're experiencing in South Africa, they've already developed those. But then we're not doing anything about it. So what is the collaboration that we're doing? So is that a talk for the talk, or is something that we implement in what we say? So we need to collaborate and reach the broader markets, because the stage is enough for all of us. Thank you.
I love that. I love the aspects around being intentional with collaboration, learning. There is so much innovation happening and emerging from the continent, and we need to be humble enough to know that there are people out there who are doing amazing work, and learn from how can we adapt and adopt within the South African context. So maybe they will hold the same question to you, right? From an SME perspective, right? How do they leverage digital tools to grow and compete in the global economy? Yeah.
So for me, it starts at a foundational level. SMEs, what I've seen throughout my time, is that there's a fear of collaboration, as expressed before. They try to do everything themselves. There's no level of partnerships. There's no level of real networking. Any major organization, the biggest organization in the world, the real CEOs, they only own like 2 or 5% of their organizations. That means there's partnerships, collaborations that they've already employed in place. They're making sure that they're collaborating with maybe the next SMME that are able to offer something that they can't do themselves. This notion of trying to hold on to what you're doing for yourself will never fully expose us. I think so. As a people, that's something I think we really need to do and execute on. Learn to partner, learn to collaborate with the people around you, because the growth potential there is really massive. So that's one really practical way in terms of how we can execute.
No, thank you so much. And I think we've touched a little bit on how private sector can show up. I'm quite interested in how government can show up, right? And really then becomes the question is, what role do policy, regulatory frameworks play in fostering innovation that benefits all South Africans? Because without that, everything else becomes, obsolete. So if you can maybe indulge us with that question, Dr. Makaziwe.
Absolutely. We need policy that will be guiding how to use this technology. Remember, we can go very crazy when it comes to development of that. And also remember, hackers are also updating as well with the time. So we need to have a guideline of how do we use, what is the right use of AI? How to use the AI in a right way. So without that framework, without those policy development, without those policies that will say, as an enterprise person, as an entrepreneur, this is what you can do, and then around the policy as well. So we need a guiding method or approach or line in that case, or a framework for that matter, that will say, we need the partnership, but it needs to do this. When you're using these technologies, especially the AI, this is the how ethical use of AI you can do. So DDG Masholoku did mention quite a lot of the things that have been done, and from DCDT, I know also the Small Business Development also organization department is also doing quite a lot of those to ensure that they understand how do you do the funding, how can you use those funding models as well. So there's a lot of government that they need to do in terms of the policy, especially when guiding the data. That it's data itself, because that's where people, they kind of lose it at some point, because the privacy of data is quite key. That is why we have a POPI Act. When you do all those things and then you're taking and you become innovative, which is quite great, but keep in mind about the data privacy. What does that mean for you? What does the data privacy mean for you, so that you don't take the information that is quite confidential and put it out there. Just a typical example with this advent of AI, and people are using AI, sometimes they even don't want to read and say, I just wanted to summarize for me. Even in government, like confidential information, I said, I'm just going to put it in this. And now he said, no, because that is confidential. Remember, this actually based on there is taking the information, is collecting the information. So in the next 2 minutes, you'll see that the information that you put in there is all over. And no one wants to take accountability, because there is no guidelines to say, this is what you need to do, this is what you don't need to do. And also, I think, we need to quite emphasize it the most. The way of reading those small disclaimer in there, in those applications, is quite key. And also the cookies as well that we're having. So people need to understand, what does that mean? Why do we have to reject? Why do we have to accept? So what does the data privacy mean? And then what is the guideline? And also, I think when we're having those, if we don't have consequence management, then it's a futile exercise. We need to ensure that whoever that develops this, one of the things that I was like, this technology is moving quite fast. I think I saw some of the adverts that were done by, say, Leanne, but I was like, okay, the tone is not Leanne, have to listen attentively, and then like, oh, okay, now they're going crazy. So how do we ensure we protect people and the identity, the privacy of the information? So we need to align. As we move with the innovation, we also need to move with the security and move with the policy. So those are interlinked and intertwined. Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
I love that, and it's really also about striking the balance between regulatory frameworks that encourage innovation, but we also know that innovation without checks and balances can really get out of hand. So it's that intricate dance and balance that we need to be employing. So perhaps maybe, Tebogo, the same question to you. Someone in the private sector, sales executive yourself, I know usually driven by KPIs and revenue generation, absolutely. But perhaps if you can indulge us really also around, what role do policy and regulatory frameworks play in fostering innovation to benefit all South Africans?
So with policy and regulation in place, it actually gives you a foundational level in terms of where and how to operate. A lot of SMMEs and a lot of community members actually struggle in terms of how to get off the ground. But with policy already in place, there's already that foundational layer that tells you this is how you start. So you don't even have to think about that. So that's the benefit and the great side of policy. But with policy, there is also red tape. And the best teacher I've found is that once you execute and policy actually slaps you on the hand, you learn policy and regulations very quickly. So don't be afraid to disrupt. Don't be afraid to go out there and try new things. But with policy and regulation that is already in place, it's really giving you that foundational layer in terms of where to start, where to operate. Don't think about that. That's already in place. Execute from there, and then you will be fully entrenched as you go along. Make mistakes, fail forward, because that is IP. That is how organizations and SMMEs actually grow. That you will actually find your unique value proposition with the regulations and policies in place. You'll be able to differentiate yourself with the regulations and policy in place. So it can be a great benefit, but do challenge, do disrupt.
So what Tebogo is saying is that innovate, policy will catch up, in a nutshell.
It has to.
Okay, I want to sort of move to the last, segment of the questions, and I really want to be intentional around leveraging opportunities, but also be a bit forward-looking as well, so we can sort of end it on a positive note, right? So maybe to you, Dr. Makaziwe, looking forward, what are the most promising opportunities in the digital economy for South Africa that you're observing? What's giving you hope at the current moment?
Thank you. There's a lot that is giving hope, that is giving exciting, that keeps us awake throughout the night. Seeing the enthusiasm that young people are having around the digital transformation. You see now the application that they've developed around the education, also in the healthcare space, in the agricultural space. That itself, it brings so much exciting. And then you understand now that this digital transformation is actually bridging the geographical locations and now enabling people even in rural communities. I mean, you look at the likes of the social media, then you get to see how people are doing their business, and then it reaches the broader market. So that's quite exciting, that's quite brings hope, and other people are keep on learning. Now you can sell your things through to everyone. But now we need to enable that digital payment as well that DDG Mlindi was talking about, but looking at the applications that are being developed by a student, but not even those that are in IT. Just someone has said, actually, I can do this in my respective portfolio. You don't have to move to be a computer scientist, but you can do whatever that you can, wherever you are, to solve the problem that you are facing. So it's quite a lot of interesting things that we're doing. And then also we are seeing from the young people, so definitely a lot of innovation is taking place. So the AI itself is taking quite a lot of place, and also the IoT, and also with the other technologies, like the blockchain and also digital twinning in the automotive industry. So we're seeing the different change that is taking place and the excitement that Africans are having across the continent with those solutions. So that's itself is quite exciting. But I think the huge ask for is that can we have the access or the infrastructure in all the rural communities. I know SA Connect is trying to do that, but we need to speed up the process. We need to ensure also with the market, I'm happy that Penyo, you are in that space to say, how do we offer the solutions or even to minimize the bandwidth, the cost of data to the people in rural communities based on how much they earn. So we need to find the way of structuring that and ensure that we don't leave anyone aside. And also we cannot have to buy the data in the same model, the people that are in Pretoria and the one that is in Gondo. So we need to find a model that can actually cater for those. But with that, there's so much exciting, and it's actually so exciting to see the innovation taking place.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Doctor. So maybe you, Mr. Tebogo, what's most promising opportunities you're seeing in the digital economy for South Africa? What's giving you hope? And keeping you excited?
It's quite exciting. Who's giving me hope? It's the youth. I know they challenge me on a daily basis. I have 15 years within ICT, but some of the questions that they ask, they really get me to think deeper, because sometimes you think you know it all, then they show you new things. They're changing not just ICT, they're changing language. They're changing how we interact with technology. They're changing the requirements. Organizations are modeling their innovations towards the youth. So for me, there's a lot that I'm looking forward to. As a Gen Y myself, I am always asking why. And I think that's why my interest within IT keeps growing. I keep learning. Wherever I go, I always have my iPad with me. because the interactions that I do have, and no matter how small it is, my kid literally took my phone last and he did things to it that I didn't know were possible. I thought a phone you could only call, SMS, WhatsApp, and but clearly there's more to it, and I'm in ICT. So for me, there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of initiatives that the government is implementing that are quite interesting with the help of the private sector to actually implement and execute on that. It is, around smart cities in terms of how we actually engage the citizens in terms of data collection, in terms of what that data can do. There's an application development that we actually develop in market technology in terms of how the medical industry is able to interface from the grandmother in the townships all the way to the doctor that is sitting in Sandton. That digital medical file, how that travels with the patient wherever they go, minimizing the cost around paper, improving sustainability. So there's a lot to look forward to. I'm very excited, and this is definitely the industry to be in right now.
Definitely it is. Maybe now an opportune time to open up for a bit of questions from the floor. If any, I feel like I'm holding the mic, so I just want to democratize some airtime here. I see a couple of hands. I'm trying to see if we have the program director who's not here. So I'll double hat as a question facilitator. My good sir, you were first. I hope you'll be audible, but I can maybe rush down to you and give you the mic for a question.
Good day, colleagues. My leaders, I want to ask, how would you differentiate between passion and money within the IT industry, especially with cyber? You've got your white hackers, grey hackers, and black hackers. So what would be your top 3 best advices for us who are entering in this industry?
So, to get just to ensure I understand the question, you want to differentiate between passion and money.
Yes, sir.
I think we're all born with passion, but we all don't have money. So for me, build yourself first. Sometimes you need the money in order to enable your passion. Sometimes you need to do certain jobs in order to actually acquire that money to fuel your passion. But always ensure that whatever you do is driven from a point of view of passion, because that makes it a lot easier to execute. So for me, build yourself there first, acquire the money. I'm not a person that's going to sit here and tell you that it isn't not everything. It enables everything. You can't tell a starving person bread isn't everything. So for me, to use the language of the youth, stack up your bread and enable that and take that to fuel your passion, to actually push your passion.
Right. Just to take a bit of a nugget in that, Deboho, you know, the passion and the money is bit intertwined in the economy that we are having today. But it's quite imperative to look at the passion that you have and the purpose of that. Because when you do something that you are passionate about, you won't even feel like that you are working because you are driven by the passion. You won't even sleep at night because the passion is pushing you. However, there is a money side, which is quite imperative to have the money because it's a king. The cash is king. But also, you need to be cautious of certain job that will land you a certain place that you don't want to be. Recently from UK's at Unizulu, I met with the colleague who was saying that, Doc, you know, I'm a hacker. I was like, I didn't even want to learn about hacking because the danger that is in that space. And you will get quite a lot of cash because people are saying, no, okay, right now, you know that you can delete the information, but we can retrieve it and even more, and we can even clone. But for me personally, I would rather do something that won't get me into trouble at the long run. So manage your cash, have your passion, and then from the passion you will see that there's a lot of developing solution that you'll be having, driven by the passion. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much. Maybe let's take 2 last questions. Let's maybe take a lady here. There we go. Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. I have 1 or 2 comments. I'm not sure if they are going to come out as questions, but I also want to paint a story. So it would be based on some of the comments you made. Firstly, a lot of the solutions we can propose, or some of the concerns we have, ultimately policy is the one that has to be written in order for us to steer forward. So I want to understand, and I like the fact that we commented on the literacy element. And just to extend, we have a big problem in the country where the 2021 study, I forgot where it was from, but it basically said about 81% of grade 4 learners cannot read for meaning. So if it starts from there, imagine an era 404 message. What does that mean? Also, I would like to also extend that when it comes to any solutions we have, we really do need to contextualize them in the South African context. 11 official languages. It would really be nice if I can wake up in the morning, find an app, and I can. In fact, Google. I have actually set my settings in Sepedi, and it's so nice because I didn't do Sepedi in school, but this is how I learn as well. Also, lastly, so to comment on the solution, I actually know Penyo. We come from the same World Economic Forum initiative, the Global Shapers community. I'm from the Tshwane Hub. And we had a grassroots project called GoDigital. And this is basically like testimony to show that young people have done it and can still continue to do it. So this was, we had a GoDigital program that was a free skills development program, basically to train young people to be software developers. And it was a pilot project. We had 10 young people. Some of them were students, some of them were not. Most of them were not. They were NEETs students, not in employment, education, and training. So 10 of them, and then now we have 7 of them who have been permanently employed as software developers.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Into startup companies even. So the other 3 are still awaiting, they're doing the internship, they're still awaiting to be finally placed for permanent employment. And basically, a lot of them did not have the coding background, but this course allowed them to get in. And now I think some of them had mentioned, I've heard 1 or 2 say that they want to pursue this even in school just to further their training. So I want to just quickly before I end, just to highlight that this was not just the Global Shapers Tshwane Hub project. We had approached a lot of people for resources, financial resources. We got laptops for free. They even got a chance to walk away with them. So it's theirs. And we had the University of Pretoria, Mamelodi campus. This is a very important campus because it really supports a lot of community initiatives, and we also have Brand South Africa. So I'm saying that collaboration, we need it. It's not that we want it, it works. It makes life a lot more easier.
I love that. Well done. Well done, well done. Fantastic. One last question before we head to a close? There's a gentleman there with the hand.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I'd like to ask, I just want to get straight to the point. So I just want to ask, I can say through the disability sector, because I'm one of the people who are in the disability sector. So I just want to know, because like I heard certain things about opportunities when it comes to people with disabilities, because in some instances, we find that we are neglected in a way when it comes to technology and other things that's related to digital inclusion, if I can say that. So I'm not sure, like, if there's a way or there is maybe a collective of maybe, should I say, opportunities to include people with disabilities, whether it's the blind or people of hard of hearing when it comes to that. So I just want to know from that, how do we go from there? Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good one. And maybe Dr. Makaziwe, you spoke about inclusivity as well. So maybe you can take that one for us.
All right, thank you so much for that imperative question in there. Definitely, you are mentioning quite that is a very important. Inclusion is not inclusion if other people are left behind. So digital inclusion needs to cater for everyone, either you are visually impaired or you can't hear or whatsoever, all the different spectrum of some disabilities. So from government, I know that there is actually the department that deals with that prioritizes that. However, also other different departments as well, they make sure that they prioritize people with disabilities and say come forward so that they can be able to suggest that what kind of applications do you need, because we will not understand it until you talk to a person that is having that and suffering from that. So definitely there are a lot of opportunities. Private sector as well, they encourage people with disabilities to come in front and say what kind of challenges are you having. I think maybe Trevor will also talk more around that as well, because there are different initiatives that are having from NAMISA as well to make sure that everyone is actually considered. So definitely there is a space for that. So if you have any idea, solution, or want to develop, definitely do come forward, and then also do talk to also some of the government entities together with the department. The solution is there. You are catered. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Doctor. I think I feel bad. This gentleman had his hand up, so I want to take his question, please. If I can ask the mic be given to him. There we go. Yes, this gentleman here in the front, the second row. There's a mic coming. Thank you. There we go.
Tobela. My name is Jacob Masingi from Siabuswa at Vudingcondo Living Lab. So thanks for this opportunity again. I remember I was here 10 years ago at the Innovation Hub. So I think I was very, very inspired. But the challenge, I think Dr. there has discussed it, that we are not practical. Because let's say I was 10 years ago here, I'm here again, then I'm going home, then 10 years back again, I'm coming. Same thing. So, but what I like is that sometimes we are getting inspired, because I remember when it was 10 years, I was nominated as a breakthrough developer. Like I developed an IoT solution, energy measurement and verification system. But up until today, I never got any support. So that's where I went back home to say, let me implement a digital lab. So I've built a digital lab. I think it has a wall like this. But
that is amazing. A round of applause for that. Yeah.
But inside that digital lab, I'm still struggling with resources. Like there is no computer that I can say I'm transforming that. So even I'm glad today I'm seeing the CEO of NEMISA. I think such things as well we need to address, because I'm from rural village. There is no library, there is no university, there is no school, there is no internet access. Then when you are talking about digital transformation, but you find out that we are not being reached in those communities. So that time, 10 years ago, I was a student. So I was having access to university to come here at the Innovation Hub and get such opportunities to participate on those challenges. But now I'm back at rural village, unemployed, and now I'm trying to do something, but still I'm not getting any support. So at the end of the day, we are going to fall under wrong traps. So we'll find out that we end up taking the wrong money and doing crimes and other things because the government is not supporting us. But I also understand that we are coming from rural villages, like local municipalities, they don't understand innovation. So if I must come here again in Pretoria. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go back with the support. So those are the things that let us address the basics so that at least with those basics, maybe today I was supposed to be a doctor because I spent a lot of time trying to raise money to build a building because I built that building on my own. So it's a very typical challenge to say, now the building is there is no funding. So I think we need to start addressing the basic and see How are we supporting each other going forward? Because as government, we are trying, but as youth, we are not being supported. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. I mean, that's the greatest conundrum that we have as a country, right? And it's what we've been speaking to and some of the themes that we've covered here, to say, how do we move from talk to action? And we commend you for taking that initiative as well in starting the lab in your own rural village. I think that is something to be proud of and commend for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the conclusion of our panel discussion. And I would like to anchor it around this quote that I love by Frank Swaneker. And he says, those of us who are privileged enough to be healthy, alive, to have an education and some form of influence, our role and responsibility is not to do small things and solve small problems. He says, the way to justify our privilege, our positions, is to try and solve hard problems and the hard questions and dream bigger dreams for not only ourselves, but also our communities. And by that, thank you so much to Dr. Makaziwe, Mr. Deboho as well, for indulging us with your expertise and your presence as well. I'll yield the floor to the program director. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Thank you so much to our moderator. What a well-facilitated session. What a well-unpacked session. And I'm sure that we were able to get an insight of where the digital economy, where digital transformation is going in South Africa. Just through that, driving inclusive digital transformation, building pathways for South Africans. And I like the way that the panel was able to expand it to Africa, because that's where we're supposed to be thinking. You know, when somebody says, I'm from Durban, I'm KZN, I'm from Mpumalanga, I look at them like, bro, you are shortcutting yourself. Think South African, and then think global, and think continental. So I like the way that the panel was able to then unpack that and literally take it from a continental perspective. And by the way, we are driving the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is something that we were able to unpack yesterday. And I'm sure today you'll be able to then align yourself as an entrepreneur on how you can take advantage of those platforms. So I encourage you, young people, I think you've noticed also that most pointers were pointing at young people. The future is young people. The future is young people. And the future is now. Digital transformation is now. So we need to then be able to position ourselves for that opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, it is, of course, a great honor to welcome our Deputy Minister in the Presidency, in the House, Honorable Kenneth Morolong, who has joined us today. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring us. I did mention to you that today we're not coming here to play. Right? We're not coming here to create a talk show. We want actionable steps. I like what the doc said about that. So young people, when you find a moderator on stage, when you find a speaker on stage saying things that they've experienced, your job is to take notes. Your job is to take notes so that you can go back to your businesses and execute. Gone are the days where today you had to wait to launch a product. You had to wait a couple of months. The markets are ready now. You can launch an app within a short space of a day. Go test it into the market. Don't wait to perfect the idea. Perfection is for the old engineers. Go take it to the market, test it. Get live feedback from the audiences and your consumers of your product, because that's the only way you're going to stay ahead. So when you are at your varsity level and you guys are still studying and you're creating these innovative apps, test them within your peers. Use it within your peers. Are you able to communicate, connect it to your classroom, from your classroom to the whole faculty, from the faculty to your community, etc. So let's be on speed as young people. Understood? All right. Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I know that the Deputy Minister will be on his way. So I'd like to officially welcome him on stage to give us his keynote address. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Program Director. I would have preferred to be here for quite some time, but I'm told young people arrived quite late. We were supposed to start at 9. I was supposed to have commenced my address at 9. But young people were held elsewhere, and unfortunately there are clashing commitments, so I am going to have to depart after my address. But I would have really loved to have been part of this ensuing discussion for quite some time. Let me acknowledge the CEO of NEMISA, Mr. Trevor Mitwa, the representatives of government, DCDT, and all government institutions, private sector leaders, innovators, academics, youth representatives, and fellow South African. Good afternoon. It is an honor and a privilege to address you at this GoDigital National Dialogue. This is a space that challenges us, not just to talk about the future, but to shape it together. We congregate here as we do to fashion a future in which every South African, no matter where they live or how they were raised, would not be left behind in this new digital era. We meet here today to ponder on and respond to the important questions on issues such as digital transformation, skills development, and job creation. We do so in order to understand the full magnitude of the immediate tasks that lie ahead to build a resilient digital economy. I suspect that from this dialogue, a set of policy proposals shall issue to help us to properly execute tasks as demanded by the challenges of the day. This dialogue, thus defined, goes to the heart of who we ought and should be as a nation. It allows us space to confront the urgent question: how do we ensure that the next phase of South Africa's growth is inclusive, just, and truly transformative? Before I delve into our national digital future, allow me to outline the mandate that frames my perspective. As a deputy minister in the presidency, I'm entrusted with a portfolio that sits at the very nexus of communication, nation brand management, and media development. This includes executive responsibilities for government communication and information system, and oversight of two critical entities that report to Parliament, Brand South Africa, and the Media Development and Diversity Agency, MDDA. Brand South Africa is tasked with managing our nation's reputation to stimulate investment, tourism, and trade, objectives that are intrinsically linked to a thriving digital economy. The MDDA works to empower community and small commercial media, ensuring a diverse media landscape that is vital for an informed, digitally literate citizenry. Further, my delegations extend to the Marketing Agency and Communication Sector Charter Council, aligning economic transformation directly with the communication sector. This mandate is not just theoretical, it is being activated on the ground. Since the commencement of the 7th administration in July last year, I have engaged in the following structured platforms. I have made 10 appearances before the Portfolio Committee on behalf of GCIS, Brand SA, and the MDDA. I have responded to 16 questions in the National Assembly and in tandem follow-ups asked by members of Parliament. I've appeared twice before the Standing Committee on Public Accounts to respond to questions on the mandate of the presidency. By so doing, I'm ensuring accountability for our digital and communication strategies and taking the country into confidence about the work of government. Internally, we're also fixated on creating impactful and professional institutions that demonstrate excellence in public service. In terms of the oversight role I provide, I convene regular ExCom meetings to stay appraised of the governance, financial, and service delivery performances of all entities. Particularly, 3 ExCom meetings which were held with GCIS on the turnaround plan for these institutions. This has ensured a GCIS that is constantly improving on an upward trajectory. Similarly, I've convened 2 sets of board meetings for both the Brand SA and MDDA to improve strategy and execution. We also regularly host the Government Communication Forum to ensure a seamless and coordinated machinery of government. This approach has enhanced performance and accountability. We can see these in the clean audits for GCIS, MDDA, and Brand SA. The work itself has shown impact on the ground. We have launched over 10 new community radio stations with state-of-the-art studios across provinces like KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, directly expanding access to information and digital platforms. Crucially, we have spearheaded the 30 Years of Democracy, of Freedom campaign with a sharp focus on digital transformation. This includes a dedicated school connectivity program where we have worked with provincial education departments and partners like MTN to equip public schools, including those catering for learners with special educational needs, with ICT infrastructure. Each of these schools has been connected with resources valued in excess of 3 million rands, a tangible step towards realizing the vision of a paperless education system. This hands-on experience, from connecting classroom in KwaZulu-Natal to representing South Africa at international platforms such as AFSIC conference, where we tell South Africa's investment story. AFSIC is probably the largest investment conference, African investment conference held outside of the South African shores. The Intra-Africa Trade Fair in Algeria, where we secured $5 million for infrastructure, South Africa's project preparation facility, and the conclave in India, where we again position South Africa as an investment destination of choice. This reinforces a central conviction. Our digital journey must be built on the foundation of tangible action and inclusive partnership. While the narrative I've shared is drawn from my journey, it stands as a testament to the collective dedication and contribution of my colleagues who, on their respective platforms, may echo a similar story of service and commitment. This address is not intended as a response to the unfolding public debate, but rather as an affirmation of our unwavering voice to present the truth as it is grounded in fact, guided by principle, and free from conjecture or general insinuation. We are a living proof that technology is experiencing profound shift. Program director, around the world, countries are racing to build smarter economies, automated industry, and digital governments. Artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, blockchain, and other technologies are no longer science fiction. They are shaping everything from agriculture to healthcare, from banking to basic education. In their book, The Coming Wave, AI, Power, and Our Future, Suleiman and Basker emphasizes this point by saying a global system of developing knowledge and technology is now so sprawling and open. And they continue to say the ability to understand, create, build, and adapt technology is highly distributed as a result, close quote. I'm certain that you'll agree with me that the critical question, therefore, is not whether this change will happen. It is how we respond and who we include in that response. In South Africa, we are choosing to respond boldly by acknowledging that digital transformation is not a luxury or side project. Ladies and gentlemen, digital transformation is a national imperative and very central to our economic competitiveness, to our social inclusion, and to our developmental vision. We, however, have to admit that while the fourth industrial revolution represents enormous opportunities, it also risks deepening our existing inequalities unless we act with deliberate intent to close the gap. Digital transformation must not begin with machines. It must begin with people. Program Director, this therefore instructs us to build a society where digital opportunity is not the preserve of the rich and privileged few. This therefore requires that we invest in people, in their capabilities, and provide access to the tools that can change their lives. Our national digital and future skills strategy is our footprint for building this society. This strategy recognizes that digital literacy is a basic right and is no longer optional. Ladies and gentlemen, just as we want that every child must be able to read and write, we must also ensure that every South African, young or old, is able to participate meaningfully in the digital economy. To fully achieve this as government, we are focusing on multiple fronts. Firstly, government has plans to strengthen the digital foundation of our education system from primary schools to TVET colleges and universities. Government, together with the private sector, is executing plans to train teachers, expand connectivity in under-resourced schools, and integrating digital tools in everyday learning. We're also building pathways to advance digital skills, coding, data science, cybersecurity, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence. These are not niche disciplines. They are the engines of the digital economy. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most powerful tools in this work is a growing network of digital hubs and collaborative laboratories. These are spaces where youth, entrepreneurs, and creatives can access not only internet and equipment, but mentorship and market linkages. These spaces are incubators of potential that must be replicated in every province, especially in communities historically denied opportunities. Program Director, the national plans that government has elaborated will ensure that skills lead to work that is meaningful, dignified, and sustainable. I'm certain that you are front row witnesses of digital expansion, from digital agriculture to fintech, from online education to logistics. We are witnessing the rise of new sectors. Government's master plan on digital economy ensures that we act strategically to position South Africa, not just as a consumer of these innovations, but as a global player in their development. This digital transformation roadmap is a critical part of this journey. It emboldens us to reimagine efficient delivery of services with speed, transparency, and accessibility. Through these plans, we are building a unified digital identity system that South Africans can apply for services online without standing in long queues
or carrying bundles of paperwork. Digital public infrastructure lies at the very heart of a capable, responsive and inclusive state. It encompasses the foundational digital systems such as digital identity, data exchange layers, secure payment rails. These digital highways will provide service delivery platforms that allow government, businesses, and citizens to interact efficiently and transparently. Program Director, South Africa has a historical spatial inequality that continues to shape access to opportunities. Therefore, an investment in public infrastructure is but one mechanism that can act as a means to close this gap. A fully implemented and maintained digital public infrastructure will enable citizens to access essential services remotely, open channels for social and economic participation, and improve government's ability to coordinate, respond, and innovate, thus reducing duplication, fighting corruption, and ensuring that even the most remote citizens are visible to the institutions that service them. We are creating secure platforms for government departments to share data so that people don't have to submit the same information over and over again. We are digitizing payments to reduce fraud and improve efficiency. We are building a single and trusted portal where citizens can access government information and services in one place, free of data charges. All of these carry a manifestly important meaning, that we are creating a generation of digital public sector jobs in spaces such as system development, user support, cyber security, service design, and many other opportunities. It is, however, abundantly clear that the state cannot do this alone. We need long-lasting partnerships. We need the private sector to invest not only in technology, but in people, especially in rural areas, in township economies, and in small enterprises. We need universities and research institutions to adapt quickly to build a curriculum that is dynamic and future-focused. As we work to realize the goals of the National Development Plan, let us remember that transformation is not a single event. It is a process that requires vision, patience, and above all, courage. The courage to disrupt that which is comfortable and the courage to invest in what might not yield immediate returns. This moment requires of us to master the courage to lead, to collaborate, to be transparent, and to be inclusive in how we manage this enormous transformation. Program Director, digital revolution is not something happening out there in some distant place, far removed from our lived experiences. It is happening here in our homes, our classrooms, our clinics, and our streets. It is happening in the way we connect, in the way we trade, in the way we dream. It is therefore up to us to ensure that this revolution becomes a force for justice, not exclusivity, for empowerment and not necessarily surveillance, for unity and not division. I dare all of us congregated here to rise to the occasion and make this transformation truly embedded in our communities. Let us do it together for every South African citizen who dare to hope for more. I thank you.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Minister. Please, another round of applause to him. Deputy Minister, the technologies that are out here today are as powerful as the leaders that lead them. And I think your presentation definitely guided us that South Africa is in good hands. Our leaders know what they're doing, they've got the vision, and they are on the road to digital transformation now. Thank you so very much again, Honorable Minister, for blessing us with your presence and giving us that sound, guidance of where the country is going currently digitally and the great initiatives that the department is doing. I think as young people, we are very excited when the department, when government comes and tells us exactly what they're doing on the ground and how we as young people can plug into those programs. So thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to call upon Mr. Trevor, who's the CEO of NAMISA, to give us a presentation and a detailed outline of what NAMISA does and how they are impacting their space. Please put your hands together for the CEO of NAMISA.
I'll just read it. Should I read it or should I show it? Okay. What is this? Is it an HDMI? Yeah, I can present. Do you have an HDMI? Okay. Show over there. Good afternoon. Yo, is it a graveyard shift or? I'm gonna try to keep you awake, eh? I'll do my best. Maybe let me stand here so that I don't compete with this. With the thing. Let me just introduce myself to say, my name is Trevor Ramitwa, the CEO at NAMISA. In full, it's the National Electronic Media Institute of South Africa. And this is an entity of the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. And I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge presence of other guests here, like Ms. Suraya and Doc Makaziwe there, and those that I know. Maybe there are others here. I may be making a big mistake here, but also the CEO of CyberMate and other partners that are here. And to all of you, it's actually quite exciting that on a Friday afternoon, so many young people are sitting and being attentive. Because you could be choosing to do so many other things out there, going for the things that that are more entertaining. So, but I believe that the topic of digital technologies or digital transformation is exciting. It's always, especially when you're passionate about it, it'll always excite you. So, just before I get to my presentation, I'm not going to be long. Is to say that actually recently I got interested when I read an article that spoke to, I think it was Time magazine. You know, Time magazine is always thin. Eh? I wonder why. Always very thin. But they were talking about how, superpowers or the world, the geopolitical situation in the world is evolving. And that previously you would have, powerful nations showcasing themselves through military, things like military, and showcasing themselves with weapons and, how powerful they are and how they can crush you. But also with capital, the monies that they have, their economies, and how they're growing, and that they are number one in the world or number two in the world. Do you know which one is number one in the world and which one is number two in the world? Do you know? Okay. Anyway, but they would showcase that. But lately, technology or digital capabilities of a nation are almost as equal as the military capabilities. Can you imagine that? How this has become so important. And that really struck me to say, wow, it means our capabilities from a digital point of view, if we are left behind as a nation, our young people are left behind, it means other countries can just invade our sovereignty. Because even sovereignty in the digital world is there. It's not just about the physical sovereignty being our land and the borders. We have sovereignty from a technological point of view as well. So I just want to touch on that to say, this thing of digital or technologies has become so elevated and so important. So just to get to the background about NEMISA, as I said, we are an entity of government. We are a training institution, as simple as that, or a training entity, let me call it that way. We are not a university. We are also not a college, but we are an institute, let's call it that. Training people mainly in the vocational space, like between post-schooling sector, post-schooling years, after matric, in between that and university. But we also play alongside TVET colleges, but at the same time, we go into the basic education as well, because lately we've entered into a partnership with the Department of Basic Education to try and support the department in introducing relevant curriculum and making sure that the schooling system, children get introduced to digital skills early in their years. So that's what we do, and we have been mandated to mainly reach the rural areas, the underserved areas, far-flung areas, small towns, and mainly youth, women, people with disabilities, MSMEs, let me call it that, MSMEs, as well as government officials. So we would like to see a digitally transformed society eventually. That's what we are trying to contribute to, and also make an impact where we will see accelerated usage of digital technologies to improve the quality of life. And we all know about the challenge that South Africa has. For us, it's threefold. It's unemployment, youth unemployment, which is very high. I mean, it was just being quoted earlier on during the panel discussion that youth unemployment is almost at 44%. Actually, 80-something, if you include those that have not given up, or that have given up, in looking for jobs. But apart from that, we have digital divide, where there are those who are highly advanced, even certain schools that are highly advanced, and those that are completely left behind and out. And apart from that, the interesting thing is that there's a serious supply and demand mismatch of skills in the country, and it's a phenomenon that is really bothering us all the time for many years, which we need a solution around. While there are so many jobs available, there are no people to fill those jobs, to the extent that many companies are offshoring jobs. Do you know what that means? Let me give you an example. While I was at Nedbank, I used to work for Nedbank. And I remember going into one floor, actually into one block. I was at the head office in Sandton. There was something like, in that campus, there would be something like 13,000 of us at a given time. And when I went into one block at Group Technology, I found something like more than 2,000 people from outside. Many of them were from India. Many of them, and a lot of, and when I checked with the group exco, I mean the executive for ICT, they indicated that there are no people to hire in South Africa for them to be able to do those jobs. They have to bring those people into the country, and he even said there's even more work that is taken out, that is done in those countries on behalf of the company. Many companies are doing that, and it's a serious problem in the country. So what we are aiming at as NEMISA is to, since there's a huge need for digital skills, going together with the fast-paced digital technology developments is that we try and drive scale, that we deliver training programs at a big scale. And accept that we create access. We make this accessible, because technology education is very expensive for many, you know. So the government has tasked us to make it accessible to the extent that most of our training programs are for free, and indeed for free. And then also that we bring about training that is relevant and will create impact. So this is just a graph showing what really informs us on the types of programs. And this is coming from World Economic Forum, which went and checked with many companies what kind of technologies are they adopting. And you cannot just produce skills that are not going to be used. So this is really informative when it comes to that. And you can see that, well, I tried to gravitate towards cybersecurity, since this is about cybersecurity in Daba. That cybersecurity is amongst them. As you can see, I think it's number 4 or 5 there. But definitely there are certain adoptions that are happening, like cloud. There are many platforms that are being adopted there that we need to make sure that we produce skills that will be able to support those. And in the next slide, I'm just showing that as we frame the digital skills delivery in South Africa, we're looking at, for now, about 4 components. Obviously, the basics or the foundation of that is digital literacy. Then we have sector users, digital skills. Those are the people that are in different sectors, be it agriculture or health or another, that should be able to use digital technologies for those sectors. Then we have for leaders. Our leaders, actually, it can be quite easy that we leave them behind, that they should be able to manage technology at a leadership level. And cybersecurity is also applicable to cybersecurity, but also ICT practitioners. I'm sure many of you are ICT people. I take it so that as an ICT technician, you need to keep on upskilling yourself or reskilling yourself. So those are the 4. And in terms of skills demanded by the digital economy in South Africa, I looked at this research by Genesis Analytics, but also Collective X. And it actually indicates that in 2024 to 2025, the number of ICT jobs in South Africa is estimated at approximately 318,000 jobs that are out there. And the vacancy rate is somewhere around 27%, which means that it's not easy to fill these jobs. And the main reason being skills, availability of skills. And this graph, this pie chart is trying to say what kind of skills or at what level are those skills. And you can see the biggest part of it is really entry level. Like at the beginning, at the entry level. And you can imagine the kind of an opportunity this brings for young people. It says, okay, our young people are also trying to enter at that level, and these opportunities are also available at that level. And as you know, eventually you'll need to grow into intermediate and advanced level, advanced skills levels or jobs. So this actually is an indication that we need to focus more at entry-level skills development or professional skills development. And in terms of AI impact on ICT jobs, this graph also is very interesting in that there are those jobs that, of course, are actually will be lost or will change completely because of AI. But as you can see, cybersecurity is one of those, and cloud engineers and others that are out there is one of those that are growing. And therefore, we need to be able to, as young people or as the people in the field, to be knowing where the market is going. I think that is quite important. So in terms of what we focus on as NEMISA, we do have a big project in digital literacy. Nationally, it's delivered in a variety of ways. Online, there's face-to-face trainings that we do in a variety of ways. We work with universities, we work with TVET colleges. We are currently at about 35 TVET colleges. We are at 8 universities, and we work with CET colleges as well. And we have a project called the Digital Ambassadors Program, where we appoint ambassadors in rural areas. Lately, we place them even in TVET colleges. We train them as trainers, and they go out and train in the communities. Apart from that, we do have emerging technology offerings in the areas of big data, AI, cloud, app and web development, and other emerging technologies. But as you can see, cybersecurity skills or training offerings are cutting across all of those. And the story that I want to share with you is that cybersecurity is in every pocket of every emerging technology, or every part of all the emerging technologies. But not only that, I think one speaker earlier today said that cybersecurity also is everywhere, or technologies in every other aspect of life. And therefore, cybersecurity follows that as well. Because for every technology that is being developed, you must know that there are risks that go with that as well, vulnerabilities that go with that, and potential attacks that may happen in the space. Apart from that, I need to emphasize that human skills are critical. As you also do this, you need to be able to couple that with the ability to communicate, ability to work in teams, creativity, adaptability, and others that are quite critical as well. So in terms of cybersecurity training programs that we have, Makaziwe, I'll just indicate that we work together, by the way. We've partnered together with NSG. There's one program that we are delivering for government employees. It's new. We are introducing it to support the digital transformation journey of government. And for now, we're introducing, working together with Microsoft. She did indicate that. We're introducing AI for government, or AI fluency, just for ordinary government employees to be able to utilize AI. And we're working with various government departments through NSG, and also cybersecurity awareness, just for them to be able to know what is spoofing, what is phishing. Yesterday, by the way, I got an email, a funny email, and I said, it went like to very senior people. And I said to them, no, just ignore that thing. It's a scam. I think it's an attack. Don't even respond to those people. Just delete the thing. And they said, no, it's real. There's actually a person behind that you can talk to. I'm very sensitive lately, just to click anywhere or on anything or an email coming through. So I was just applying my sensitivity there. So this is just to enable our government employees to be able to detect if something is not right in whatever that they are interacting with on a daily basis, because they are their first line of defense. If government could be attacked, it may be through them. So we also have another one that we do with Cisco. It's a junior cybersecurity analyst career path that we have. It's available for free. It's online. You can visit NEMISA website to look at that. We have another one that we are just launching that we are doing with Google as well. It'll be certificated through Google. And actually, I'll show you the advert at the end of my presentation, which is that one. I saw that they're saying that you can apply. The closing date is today. we will extend it for you, don't worry. You can apply, we will extend it for you. So it's available, it's gonna run until March. It's online as well, very, very good. We're looking at training 12,000 people in this, so there are about, for now in this intake, there are 4,500 opportunities. So please apply for that and take it up. Apart from that, there are many other courses. We do creative media courses as well, in animation, film production, and others, radio production, podcasting, and many others. But maybe we can talk to CyberMate to arrange some of these trainings so that we do them together, and we invite you to participate in that. And our channels, we have online platforms, so if you go to our website, you'll be able to see that we do blended as well. And by the way, there's also a discothon coming up. It's a hackathon of some sort, but we're calling it a discothon because it's going to infuse both the creative side and the technology side. It's gonna come in November. We will share with CyberMate to share with all of you so that you can participate there in the hackathon or the discothon. And with that, thank you so much. That's what I had for you. I look forward to a fruitful time with you. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to Nemisa. Of course, just outlining the number of benefits that we can take advantage of as young people. I'm going to now call upon my moderator to set up the stage again on fire, to set up the stage on fire and take our last panel discussion. And this one here is going to be 30 minutes. She's going to push it as she can in terms of time, because I believe that we are literally over the time that we should have, that we were scheduled to be here for. So without further ado, Ms. Tlengiwe Tetwa was going to do the official introduction of her panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The pressure, right? I must, number one, set the stage on fire. Number two, keep it short. I'm going to try my best. All right. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tlengiwe Tetwa, and I wear multiple hats, right? So primarily, I am expert team lead and public sector liaison at a company called Legal Interact. We won Digital Inclusion Changemaker 2024. What do I do? Product specialist, product development around contract lifecycle management, right? That's hat number one. Hat number two is Y20 delegate in the track Digital Inclusion, Education, Future of Work, and I embody future work. I'll get into that just a little bit. And then hat number three, and last hat for today, is I am the ED responsible for governance, strategy, and digital enablement of an ICT academy based in the township, based in Vosloorus, where I'm actually from, right? But yeah, those are just my few hats that I wear. But it's an honor to moderate this session on digital skills and the future of work, right? I like saying that I embody the future of work, because a couple of years ago, I was doing an internship around community development and leadership, where I was empowering a whole community. Then I went into legal practice. I did the whole court thing. I was representing people at the CCMA, Magistrates Court, and then I transitioned into legal technology, and that tech bug bit me, right? So now I'm seeing that as South Africa and the continent accelerates towards a digitally enabled future, digital transformation is reshaping every sector. Your finance, your healthcare, your public administration, and we're all impacted by it, especially because of the 46.1% of youth unemployment, right? And just to put it into perspective, right? Out of 10 graduates, 5 won't find a job. That's disheartening, right? And now, nearly 1 in 2 still cannot find employment. And this is not because we lack ambition, but because the system is just not yet producing the skills demanded by a digital, automated, and AI-powered economy. And another thing, right? I'm keen to say this actually. in the aspect of startups, right? Startups are actually the ones hiring more people. They're the ones creating more employment than your large corporations, right? And the thing is, right, we grow up believing that you must go work for Microsoft, you must go work for AWS, but that's changing things, right? By virtue of you solving the problems in the community, you're working at empowering the people in your community as well, right? But today we'll explore a couple of things, but I'd like my fellow panelists to join me up on stage. Can Mr. Trevor Ramitla join me back on stage? Then I'd like Dr. Sureya Admin to join me on stage. Adam, my apologies. Dr. Benjamin Manaso to join me. And Mr. Muloti Ngune to also join me. All right, we'll skip that for now. Let me just grab a seat. So to my fellow panelists, today we're going to be exploring just how digital skills can drive inclusive economic growth in South Africa. We'll examine the future of work in a digitally transforming economy. We'll discuss the role of multi-sector collaboration and identify practical strategies in policy recommendations for upskilling, employability, and sustainable growth, right? And Mr. Trevor's going to kick us off, right? I've got one question here. NEMISA has been at the forefront. Are all our mics on? Got another one here. Dr. Adam, do you mind? There we go. All right, thank you for that. Mr. Ramitla, we heard you speak about the digital economy and how NEMISA is actually driving the change in that sort of aspect, right? So you're at the forefront of digital skills training nationally. So how would you describe South Africa's current digital skills landscape, and what are the biggest gaps we must urgently close?
Thank you. Okay, so I think, in my view, the current landscape is such that, as I said, there's such a disjuncture of, the balance between, or the equilibrium between supply and demand of digital skills. And that, apart from that, digital technologies, and that the rapid, changes that are happening in the space are presenting a lot of opportunities, even though there are also perceptions of people having to go into lose jobs or certain jobs going away and things like that. I believe that there are more opportunities coming. And apart from that, we have a problem of, even in the response to this demand, there's quite a lot of fragmentation. There's no coordination between the schooling system, what it produces, the post-schooling system or higher education system, and it catching up, but also micro-credentialing, which can enable for people to quickly reskill as things change. It's not that much established. It's not an established system that you could do 1 or 2 courses there and you can create a journey and eventually be able to become an engineer, maybe an AI engineer eventually. Or that you can change as things change, along the path or along the way. So I think those are the challenges. And if we could have maybe some coordination of some sort, so that we are able even to know where's the potential in terms of the young people that we need to access, and how do we then move them to opportunities? Because many of them get trained, but there's no bridge that connects them to opportunities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I like the aspect of micro-credentialing. Imagine being able to go to one institution and learn something, and go to another institution and learn something, and perhaps even go abroad. And then you come back home and say, you know what, I actually have a degree in X, Y, Z. But by virtue of you now going to different institutions and grabbing whatever qualification you might necessarily want from them, that is one aspect how we might be able to close that gap. And now for you, Dr. Adam. I would like you to begin with a brief introduction, just introduce yourself to the audience, and then I'd like you to answer this particular question. So GIZ works across multiple African markets supporting digital transformation. And from your perspective, what are the key elements building an inclusive digital skills ecosystem that leaves no one behind, especially women, youth, and people in rural communities?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. I know I'm keeping you I'm between you and lunch. So just to introduce myself, I'm Seth Tebogelef because I'm also a graduate or alumni of TUT. Yeah, I actually went the other way. I actually studied technology, computer systems engineering, and then went into management, and now I'm in project management, but still with a digital flavor. So I work currently for GIZ, which is a German Development Corporation. So what happens is that the German government provides some funding to different countries, and one of them is South Africa. So our partner, actually, we work on political level, is the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. They craft out what is the need for the country, and digital skilling is an absolute need. I also believe that digital skilling is the area where we can leapfrog, to get young people into employment, because if you already have the attitude and the aptitude to be there, you definitely have all the opportunities. So currently the project I'm working on is digital skills for jobs and income, and we're working on the basis that we are creating skilling for jobs, exactly what Trevor was saying. We are the jobs. So working with a lot of partners to try and solve this problem of unemployment, but also working very closely to the private sector to see where the jobs are. And one of the career pathways that we did some research on, we identified 5 that are in demand, but one of them is cybersecurity. So I think we're in the right place now, working with CyberMate as well, and also to ensure that the entrepreneurs in this room, the self-starters, the ones that are here, what other skilling opportunities are there for them to actually improve income? Because that's the other part of the equation. Thank you. Oh, and I needed to answer your question, sorry. I went into a whole speech on who I am. But I think one of the biggest things that we can learn with digitalization from other countries, I think the example of Rwanda, it comes up time and time again. It seems like they seem to have got something right, especially on starting a business and how long it takes or how short it takes to start a business there. I think something like 4 hours, and you can get your business up and going. So even to get, and it could be any business, it could be in anything. So help you set up, digitalize your quotation, all your tax stuff, all your other licenses, and then also give you a system to invoice, because I think that's the other bit. And how to invoice, what rate to charge, because I find that also is something in South Africa, I don't know if it's our past or what it is, but we sometimes shy to charge for the skills that we have, And that is also, we're always skilling ourselves, micro-credentialing, upskilling, but we need to also know what is our worth out there. So I think that is something definitely we can learn from. And in terms of women, we know that we don't have enough women in digital. We know that we don't have enough women in STEM. So for me, one of the biggest things that we need to do with our training programs is to ensure that they are inclusive for women, but not only that, to make sure that there's enough time, because we know women have an extra burden in our culture, in our community, to look after the family, the children, and everything else. So how do you give them time? How do you give them security to get to a venue to train? How do you give them perhaps childcare once they are there? So these are all different ways that we can make sure that women are not left behind. And for the youth, definitely, there is a lot that we can do, and a lot of focus is on the youth, to be quite honest. And persons with disability, especially in cybersecurity, I just want to share one last thing. In our previous project, which ran from 2021 till the end of March 2024, we actually had a group of persons with disabilities just in cybersecurity training. And all of that cohort got hired. So that is a really good example. So there's a great company. I think there was a question earlier about a persons with disability. There's a really good company called Bradshaw LaRue that does the training, that also works on the recruitment side. So they're very, very close to the private sector to train for jobs. And I think these are the types of models that we can adopt to ensure that the time from training to employment is closed. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Adam. And I think by virtue of us being a developing country, right, we're able to leverage off the experiences of other countries as well. We can nitpick on what worked and what didn't work and sort of apply that in our own South African perspective and context as well. So now moving on to Dr. Benjamin Manaso. I'd like you to first introduce yourself to the audience, and then I'd like you to answer this question around through the initiatives like Ituba Youth Development Program, championed by the Mayor of Tshwane, and the Tshwane Economic Revitalization Strategy of 2025 to 2029. We're seeing focused efforts to empower young people with digital and entrepreneurial skills. So now, from your perspective, how can such a city-led initiative help bridge the gap between digital skills, development, and inclusive economic growth, particularly in preparing the youth for future of work?
No, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin Manaswe. I'm the divisional lead for economic development in the city. My job really is to try and facilitate economic development and growth in the city. That's what we do in the city. But just to be direct on the question, the city has developed what is called a Tshwane Economic Revitalization Strategy. Early in the year. It's a 5-year plan which will end in 2029. Through this plan, the city seeks actually to grow the economy by 3.9% by end of 2029. But importantly, to create over 80,000 jobs. But again, to ensure that we attract over 17 billion investment into the city. But for us to be able to achieve that, we know that the economy has changed over time. We know that the economy now plays within a digital space. And definitely, most of those jobs and most of those investments will come from digital technology-related investments and companies. That's what we foresee coming. But again, importantly for the city, we're aware that over 60% of young people in Tshwane are unemployed, and majority of those people are based in townships. And again, importantly, women and people living with disability are most affected by, the social ills of this country, mainly the unemployment issue. Then what we did as part of implementing our test strategy, we came up with a program which addresses young people directly. And that program is called Ituba. Ituba is in Nguni word, meaning an opportunity. We call it Ituba Youth Economic Development Program. And that program actually was launched by the mayor, last month in September. We are finalizing the implementation of that program. We'll be launching, final launch will be happening before the end of November. And in January, we'll be rolling out that program fully. But the program has 6 pillars. And our view is that as a city is that young people, most of them actually are looking for a job. And another part of the young people are looking for, actually want to establish businesses. Therefore, the first key pillar of that program is around entrepreneurship. Because we are saying that we must develop the entrepreneurship abilities of young people in Tshwane so that they can either go to work, but those who are who are already in the workspace can also start their own businesses. Another important pillar of the strategy is around supply development program, because we know that most businesses which are owned by young people are struggling to access market opportunities. Therefore, we'll be using government levers as well as private sector opportunities to assist youth-owned businesses to access market opportunities. But a very important pillar is around job opportunities, because we need to make sure, through this program, we're trying to ensure that we work with government, private sector, and all other civil society partners to create opportunities for young people. And most importantly, I think, which is the focus of today's program, is around technical and artisanal skills development program. We are saying that across all the economic sectors of the city, we have to develop skills amongst young people. And the most important skill is around digital skills. I mean, that's what we'll have to do. I mean, digital skills cut across all the sectors of economy, be agriculture, be automotive, and all other skills of all sectors of the economy. We'll then be partnering with a number of stakeholders across to ensure that we're able to assist young people to access skills across all those sectors. But one critical thing which we thought as government that is very, very critical, and I know that some people might not deem it as important, but young people, I mean, you might have a matric, you might have a first degree, but when you apply for a job, additional requirement is that you must have a driver's license. And most young people are not able to access the job because they don't have a driver's license, which costs about as little as about 5
around us. A few years ago, 5 years ago actually, we didn't even know about AI. We were thinking, especially within my space, we were thinking about how to get young people to learn basic digital skills. And in 5 years, the whole world has changed. So and jobs haven't been lost. In fact, just looking at the stats that Trevor showed, with Collective X, there are more entry-level jobs available right now. And I think also, if we adapt, there's a lot of opportunities there because things like animation, gaming, how do we learn differently? For example, I won't take your accountant one, but teachers, how do they teach? How do young people learn? So putting our stories out there. I mean, for us, we don't actually have our South African stories out there, right? We don't have our indigenous languages built into the AI. The previous speakers, I think, the previous doctor that was here spoke about that. So I think these are all opportunities because the jobs won't be lost, they will just be reframed. And you will have to reskill, and you would have to then create the demand for what you are providing as a solution. So if you want your car to drive with a certain language, you can already start looking at that and creating that demand. So for me, I don't think it's a future to be scared of. I think we as human beings adapt. We're very adaptable, but I think those who don't adapt and are scared of change, they might be left behind. But I don't think those are the people in this room, to be quite honest.
Thank you, Dr. Adam. Yes, the people in this room are people who want to be agile and want to focus on what to do in order to be players of the digital economy and also owners and architects of their own lives, right? I'd like to think so, right? All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Same question to you, Dr. Benjamin. So the question is just around balancing the introduction of automation and AI and just the need to create new jobs and preserve the current jobs that we have.
Thank you so much. I think every change, brings new opportunities. But it doesn't mean that, the existing jobs will definitely, will fade away immediately. We just have to adapt, reskill, and do things differently. But obviously, we need to then look out for new opportunities which are coming. And then obviously, grab those opportunities. There will be new opportunities which are coming. We just have to then look at them and grab them. But importantly, I think as the world changes, we need to change so that we can be able to move with the pace of what is happening in the world, and then we can be able to survive.
Thank you for that. Now, in the spirit of being practical, right, I'm going to pose one more question to my panelists, right? And this is just going to enable us to be able to think about the next steps and think about the future of work. So my question to each of my panelists is, and I'm putting you on the spot here, what new professions or industries do you foresee emerging as digital transformation accelerators? All right, I'll read that question again. What new professions or industries do you foresee emerging as digital transformation accelerators?
I think not even new, just now the ones that are in demand. We were in that room earlier with all the speakers, and we were discussing about the scarcity of AI engineers and those who can interact with AI. So there's already demand to get, we're talking about offshoring and bringing jobs into the country. There's already demand that is there right now, where people are being brought into the country because there's not enough skills. So I think those are the types of things that are already happening as technology is moving. So we must just be able to skill ourselves to get to that point. And I think we have it, to be honest. Listening to the discussion this morning, listening to what the universities and the colleges are doing, we do have it. It's just to untap it and to make ourselves, I think we have to sell ourselves, to be honest. We need to be the ones to put ourselves out there to say, look, I have those skills, I have those capabilities, I can take on that job. So I think for me, that's the way that we don't even have to look too far into the future because AI is here, and users that can interact and teach the AI, that's going to be also the next level.
Thank you. I think there's quite a number of opportunities, starting first with the gig economy. Yeah, I think there are huge opportunities there in that you will have people being able to work for many companies at the same time. doing a project here, a project there, a project there. So that notion of working for one company for 50 years is gone. So I think that's a big change. And apart from that, I believe that certain new occupations may emerge as a result of this AI or the changes that we see. They could be in the field of either how you manage AI assistants themselves or the technologies themselves, or how you integrate various value chains and how you map predictions and things like that. So I believe that there will be new occupations in the space. For instance, in tourism, I've learned that there's a new occupation called revenue manager. Did you know about it? Revenue manager is, now I can move forward and tell you.
But someone's got to manage the money, right?
Yeah. So this is like somebody who works, let's say, in a hotel or in an establishment, and they adapt the products depending on the seasons, on the season, and if maybe there's going to be an event in the area, a big event, they adapt the products according to that. So the products are never static. They change according to what is happening around. They call them revenue managers. So they will use a lot of AI, those people. They'll map the data around what's happening, what are the people feeling like in that week, and what are the sentiments, what is the interest, taking from social media as well and all that. So data-driven occupations will also emerge, I believe. So occupations like revenue manager will come up. Thank you.
We're giving young people the agency to be what they want when they want to be, right? I think that's the key. And lastly to you, Dr. Benjamin Manaso.
Thanks. I think AI affects all the sectors in the economy. I mean, in agriculture, automotive, and all other sectors in the economy are affected by AI. And definitely, there are new, emerging jobs which are there. I mean, for example, in academia, one of the basic things, obviously, is that, if a person writes, most of them here writes masters and PhD, dissertations and theses. Some of them obviously use AI to write for them. You need to then have to be able to detect if the students use the AI or they wrote by themselves. Issues around cybersecurity, I think that one is very basic. It's very, very important as well. There are a number of issues of ethics. Those ones, ethics managers and all those things are very critical. To be able to, in academia, I'm just focused on academic space now, to be able to ensure that everyone who uses AI use that ethically. I think that's very, very important, so that we don't bypass learning and just use AI to reproduce knowledge. That is not how it should be used. I think those are the basic minimum jobs which are out of my head, I think now will then be created. Thank you so much.
All right, perfect. What I'm gathering is that not necessarily new industries are going to come up, but the industries that actually currently exist are going to go through a transformation stage. And I'm going through that right now, right? So I've got a whole master's degree in contract law. And with contracts, a majority of that is on drafting of the contract. But with automation and with AI, a lot of the tools that are coming up can draft for you. So now I've reskilled myself and upskilled myself to prompt engineering, just to be able to get the output that I want from this contract drafting tool, which is quite essential, right? But I'm also gathering, Tabang and Yamgela, we need a whole panel on ethics. Let's do that maybe next year? All right, let's do it. Doable, like that. So I'd like to give the audience an opportunity to ask maybe one or two questions. I'm seeing a nod from Yamgela, so maybe we can. Just one question, maybe. This lady, amazing lady in the brown, I love your outfit, by the way.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amkhalam Caesar. and I have a small business, startup business called Genius Giants. And I'm so big I like education. So it's based on education. And I have a few questions, right? So the first one I want to ask is that how can an average young person get the information, right? Are we using social media? Because for us, I don't think we are average because now we are here. Although we didn't know that, there is such a discussion, and that's why I would like to also commend the University of Pretoria in Mamelodi for giving us the opportunity as well to be here. And the second question is, how do we take our skills as youth and teach the younger children? Because I firmly believe in foundation as well. How do we go out there and teach what we have learned here and also on one of the platforms to the younger children? Because I was just saying today that, I wish I knew some of these things when I was in high school. At least by now, I would have known so much, maybe, I don't know. But I think this is just by, divine timing. But I would like that at least teenagers could also know that there is such discussions and these are the skills that you can acquire and so on and so forth. I mean, right now, you find a 3-year-old playing with a laptop or playing with a tablet, learning these things, coding, there's coding.org, How do we take this information and, the skills and now give it to the young ones as well? And the third one.
You're going to put me in trouble with the program director.
I'm so sorry. How can we also collaborate with private and public organizations in this regard? How can we go to maybe one of the companies here and we're like, okay, Sharp, I have a company and I would like to collaborate with you with this idea, and I want to take it to the schools. How can we do this? How can we employ more youth to do the same thing in other townships and schools? Thank you.
That was a 3-in-1. Which of the panelists might want to take it?
Yeah, I got a gift from Dr. Suraya, the mic. She passed the mic to me. So the first one I think was about how can we get this to be known? How do we reach more young people? And what is the average young people, how do we access them? And I believe that even if social media is big, like TikTok is big, I still believe that radio and television, especially radio penetrates every corner of the country. So we were just talking within the DCDT portfolio, because SABC is part of us. I spoke to the SABC CEO, actually. I talk to her regularly, that we need to come up with a program of some sort, or some interventions, both for radio and television, that will disseminate information regularly, because we've not been doing that. Do you remember that teacher who used to teach mathematics on TV? What was his name, by the way? I think it was William Smith. He was always there, and people would. I don't think you know him because you might have been so young at the time. You might be in diapers at the time. But so we are talking to that. But I still believe social media is also important, and community radio stations as well. By the way, Nemisa has come up with its own OTT platform. It's still new. It's called Co-Creators. It's more like your YouTube or Netflix, but it's a South African, a homegrown platform. So we will popularize it as well and link it with SABC Plus. But I still believe radio is key, together with social media, like utilizing them as such. So that's how I think we can access the youth. The second question was about, what was the second? I remember the third question as to how can small businesses be included in working with government, and how could you involve the youth in these projects. Currently, there are a number of programs. There's the National Youth Service, that is managed from the Department of Youth, Women, and Persons with Disabilities. I think the NYDA also leads that. It has just recently been relaunched. So I think we need to engage more with that program, because it appoints, they call them youth service corps, like young people in different places. And there's another program called the NARISEC. The NARISEC, I don't know if you know the NARISEC. it's a NARISEC with a Y, not an I. It's a program of the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform, and it appoints young people every year. There's an intake every year. I remember we went to train about 600 of them this year. They get based during their training at military bases, but they get released back to their rural areas where they come from to go and become community developers. So there's that one. NEMISA has what we call the Yarona Digital Ambassadors Program. So that one, we from time to time, whenever we have funding, also advertise. We train those young people that get appointed to become trainers in digital literacy. Lately, we want them to train digital entrepreneurship as well, because we are trying to help businesses to adopt digital technologies and to play in the e-commerce space. So those are some of the programs that I can mention. There's also YES program, YES program, YES. I think these programs need to find a way to come to the SA Youth. There's also SA Youth. I don't know if you know Harambee. Harambee, they have developed this platform. They assisted the presidency to develop this platform called SA Youth. It's an app. You can download it on your phone. From time to time, they publish opportunities for youth, a lot of opportunities. So you need to register there. And some of the programs, like your Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, that, for instance, appoints teacher assistants in the schools. This year alone, they are taking in, I think, 250,000 young people. They get placed in schools. And we're partnering with them to empower those young people as well to train digital literacy in schools. So we're working towards that. So those are just some of the opportunities. But as for startups that want to be part of these programs as well, it depends on that program itself, because usually you need to apply and you need to meet certain criteria. So make sure that you know those criteria can be identified, the requirements, and then you try to meet them.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramitla. Yamgela gave you all a mandate in the beginning of the session today, and he said you must take notes. And by virtue of that mandate, I hope you go up. Because I'm not fulfilling the pressure that I was given. Try this one again. All right. Maybe this one? No, I'm thinking that Yamgela is the one who's cutting me off here. But just on the collaboration side, I know Mr. Manaswe is burning with just the answer, but I want you to maybe make it succinct, you know? All right, cool. But I think my 2 cents to the young people in this room would be, take the learnings that you've learned today and then go disseminate it into your communities and into your sort of spheres of influence. That would be sort of my mandate to yourselves, right? Don't hoard the information you were all given today. But thank you to my panelists. We appreciate all the efforts that you're putting out into making sure that youth are active participants in this digital economy. And one thing is that the future of work is not replacing people, right? It's replacing the tasks that people are meant to be doing. So the opportunities therefore lie in reskilling and deploying our talent, but not displacing the talent that we currently have. But yes, thank you, and that is it for me and my panel.
Right, thank you so much to Tlengiwe. Another round of applause, please. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program, and 1, 2. I was given a mic. I was given an instruction which I have not kept, to keep my mic to myself. But we've come to the end of our program. That's my mic, sir. Yes. Before they shut me out like Tlengiwe, let me get my own mic. What an impactful session. What an impactful session. The whole day, from the welcome address to the purpose of the day, we dived into the driving inclusive digital transformation, building pathways for all South Africans. We dived into the digital skills and the future of work, or inclusive economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a lot of information today. Consume it and then reproduce it in a multiple way. So I'm going to call upon our Chief Operations Officer from CyberMate to give us the wrap-up of the day. Thank you.
First announcement. Please don't. Okay. No, I was reading. Okay, maybe make this announcement because it's on your phone.
He's literally doing a direct translation. So I'm going to say King Angel. All right, the delegates, please, when we're done, remain seated. You will be served here in terms of lunch. And then to our lovely guests and speakers, there's a lady that will come and fetch you. I think, as a matter of fact, right now, because we've wrapped up, Rams can perhaps be the one that's helping you to go to your station to have lunch. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, just be seated for now, and then we'll follow his instructions just after this. So I was saying that it was a very informative discussion that we have, and I trust that you guys learned a lot. With that being said, we've already appreciated our MC, our speakers as well, but also we just want to appreciate the CyberMate team that facilitated or put together this event together with SME CEOs group. We work together in facilitating this. Now, what I will encourage you to do, follow CyberMate on our website and also on our socials for more information of such events. This is the first event of many to come. So make sure that you ensure that you follow CyberMate so that you can be updated of other events that are relevant to you. Our speakers shared so much information and also revealed resources and institutes that are relevant to help you. Dr. Ben mentioned that within Tswane they want to help youth with driving licenses. I hope you took note of that. But over and above that, there were a lot of information that are beneficial to you, right? So, but we'll make that information available on our website and our socials as well. So be part of the CyberMate community so that you can stay informed. All right, with that being said, I think that's really about it. All that happened today, it has been recorded, and there will be a report that will be produced. We will share it with our stakeholders as well, because we need to keep them accountable to the promises that they made in this event, right? But also you'll have access to that information so that you can stay informed. So thank you very much for attending. Do clap hands for yourself for making it as well. I think you did a great job for coming through. So yeah, thank you very much. We will have more of this in next year as well under the cybersecurity in the GoDigital. All right, thank you, MC, and thank you, everybody. Thank you. So please allow our speakers to go first. So just remain seated. Allow speakers to go first, and then. Or anyway, you'll be served here. So socialize with yourselves.